First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming today, coming by the house this week. All the calls we've got, all the texts we've got, all the messages on social media. Your support has really helped get us through this tough time. I have no problem standing in front of 15 teenagers in a basketball locker room and delivering a speech and every now and then a butt chewing. But believe it or not, I don't particularly enjoy speaking in front of a large group of people, even if it is mostly family. So I had to write some things down, mainly so I have a chance to get through this without breaking down, but also so I don't forget something that I really wanted to say. The main thing I want to convey today was my dad's love for people and seeing people happy and enjoying themselves. It is true that he was the life of the party and he never knew a stranger. He loved all of his friends and family and wanted everyone around him to be happy. Even in his last days, when he was in obvious pain, he continued to flirt with every nurse that would come into the room, and he never missed an opportunity to tell them how much he loved his family. He never let anything they threw at him ruin his positive attitude and his will to get the most out of his life. Dad without a doubt left his mark on Surrey County. His works with Parks and Rec, Dobson Youth Basketball, coaching various sports teams and Special Olympics have been well noted. But if you asked him, his main accomplishment and thing that he was most proud of was helping in the development of Fisher River Park. He absolutely loved that place, and anytime I go there from here on out, I will definitely feel him there. He loved that kids had a place to play and enjoy themselves. But he told me a story a couple weeks ago in the hospital that I hadn't heard before, and I want to share it with you today. When they first broke ground, they were clearing out the woods and the heavy shrubbery, and they had inmates out there working. He said he'd never forget the comments that those guys were making while they were doing this tough manual labor. They would say things like, "I'm taking my kids here when I get out of jail," or "I'm going to tell my kids that I helped build this park when I get out of here." They fed the prisoners, and he kept talking about how polite and grateful they were for the food and to be able to work on this project. They were truly proud of the work they were doing. Then he looked up at me and said, "Marcus, I'm telling you this because I want you to always see the best in people and to never give up on people, no matter what they've done." He said, as a basketball coach, you're going to have players that you want to give up on, but don't do it, because the ones who give you the hardest times are the ones who need the most help in life, and you're in a position to help them have a better life. He said when you look back on your career, that those are the kids you will look back on and be most proud of when they succeed. Dad always had coaching advice for me, whether I wanted it or not. We're not going to talk about the time I had to kick him out of the locker room at North Surrey, or the time I made him move to the other side of the gym because he was being too loud. But you know what? Pretty much every single time he offered advice, he was right. Basketball was the way me and my dad connected most. I'm going to miss those phone calls after every game, but the funny thing is, more times than not, I already knew what he was going to say on the phone before he said it, so I will for sure be having those conversations with him for the rest of my career. He taught me everything he knew about the game, but the most important thing was that it's not about the X's and the O's, but the Jimmys and Joes. This is a saying that a lot of coaches use to complain about their lack of talent. Dad didn't use it that way. Don't get me wrong, he loved winning, but he interpreted the saying differently. He believed coaching was about building relationships with kids and helping them to have a better life. Simply put, he wanted kids to be happy and get the most out of their lives, just as he wants everyone around him to be happy and enjoy themselves. Lastly, my dad told me about a sermon that he heard from a preacher about life being like the stock market. He said the preacher said, you're going to have your highs and lows in life, and not to get too high during the highs or too low during the lows. The preacher said, when you are having the best days and everything is going right for you, just know that something's going to happen to bring you back down. This really bothered my dad. He told me he was always worrying about what was going to happen to bring him back down when he was at a peak in life, so he made a decision right then to not let that happen. This is why he worked on so many projects and was involved in so many things. This is where he got his highs, and when he accomplished one of his goals and was at one of those peaks, instead of worrying about when he was going to crash, he moved on to another project or just tried to keep climbing. I encourage each of you today to follow that advice. Don't worry about things that might happen that are out of your control, but instead keep looking for ways to positively impact people and make a difference in their lives. Having said all of this, pretty much everyone here today, including myself, is sad that he's not here with us, and I'm pretty sure that he would hate that. He was always there to offer support for people who were sad and grieving, so I'm going to try to take his place and comfort some of you today. It's okay to be sad and cry and grieve right now because we miss him. But when you leave here today, hold your head up high. Be positive. Spread love and laughter. do something to help somebody else, change someone's life for the better. But something else He would want you to do is have a relationship with the Lord, because He wants to see all of you again one day. Yeah, I'm sad He's not here, and I'm going to miss Him, but I'm at peace because I know exactly where He's at, and I know that I will see Him again, and I want all of you to be able to as well. I love you, Daddy. I'll see you soon.
Kept Eddie when he was a little boy. And I told his daddy when he was just a little boy that he might not be known nationally, but he was going to be known where he was because he had the head and the heart where it's supposed to be, and he would use it for other people. And he has done that very thing. And I could never be so more proud of him than I am.
I came in here, I worked in a manufacturing plant 23 years. It closed down. I went to school for 2 years, didn't have any idea what I wanted to do. I knew I had kids to take care of. I walked in here the busiest time of the day for them, and they know what I'm talking about. And then I said, please give me a job. I'll work 2 weeks, no pay, just give me a chance. And he laughed at me. He said, how can I turn that down? And he started me off way more than he should have. And he just kept, anything he could do for anybody, he did.
My life, one of the lowest points in my life. I had lost 2 jobs in about 5 years due to layoffs, and he gave me a chance and believed in me. I didn't much believe in myself, and he never let me fail. He's done more good for more people than anybody I know. And I love you till we meet again.
He was somebody to look up to. You know, all my boys did. I mean, just like everybody else coached and all, that, you know, he took the time to coach. Eddie took his time a whole lot more than a whole lot of us did. I mean, he did a whole lot.
And on the spiritual part of it, he did a lot for our church too.
Oh yeah.
He brought a lot of people in.
Well,
And he was there every time.
I think Eddie was one of the ones that started the Lord's Prayer before the Giants played every game too, and that carried all the way through as far as I know.
We'd bring our moms and dad and parents to the fence, and they'd have it with us. I mean, and the other teams would look at us like, you know, just so. I mean, we just was involved and all, and you know, the parents they you know, coached All-Stars, and they all got involved because they'd never done it before, and I think Eddie's one started that.
I really appreciate all the opportunity I had to be with Eddie during the years, especially playing with the team as we came up through the years. So I, you know, hate to hear that he's gone. You know, someday we'll all be back together. Hopefully everybody will be with us. But again, I just want to thank the time I had with Eddie and knowing him.
He'd come up and say, Trini? Trini? And I think, oh no, what am I getting ready to do? You knew that you were getting ready to do something.
You know, that big old warm hug, that big old warm arm on your shoulder was just, it was powerful. And it, you know, his heart and the passion there and just the people. He could sit there and just flip through that little pad of paper and make a phone call, and he could raise money and just do with just a kind word. People supported Eddie, and he supported us. So.
Wes, for you and Drew and Marcus, I think he was really trying to set the example in all that he did. He loved his family, and Debbie supported him and would laugh, and you know, they were just such a great match together. But selfless servant is what I think of, what I'll always think of.
Together we can make a difference. Thank you, Eddie.
Thank you, Eddie.
I think it was probably back in the late 1980s and early 1990s, and our kids were playing basketball in Mount Airy, and Eddie and I were talking, and we said, "Gee, why couldn't we do something like that in Dobson?" And Eddie's the eternal optimist, and thought anything could be done. He said, "Yeah, we can do that." He's going to be missed, but he's got a legacy of some things in Dobson, this community, that mean a lot.
Blind wall. Well, I'll tell you, Eddie had a lot of influence on my life. You know, not only as a vendor here, but you know, outside of here, we spent a lot of time together. And the most important thing in Eddie's life to talk about was his love for the Lord and the love the Lord had for him. And Eddie helped guide me through some tough times in my life, and he always used the Scripture and used the Lord to guide me. And in any conversation we had, throughout any time, Eddie always would reference the Lord in his life and what the Lord had done for him, and he couldn't do enough, you know, to pay the Lord for what he had done for him. And Eddie's just been an awesome spiritual guidance and a disciple in my life, and I appreciate everything he's done for me.
He always tried to make me laugh before he left. I will miss him. But we all got to do things we got to do. It's all coming.
And it wasn't long enough. I wish I could have gone back and met him sooner and known him longer. That's the kind of person he was.
Yeah, Eddie treated us just like family. And so I do love him to death, and his family there. And hopefully the relation will keep going the way it's been.
Yes. Till we meet again.
And he was a man of God.
Hello, Pops. I know you're up there in heaven smiling down on us, and we're grateful and thankful and can never thank you enough for the life that you lived in front of others, the life that you lived in front of your family. I can never thank you, and words couldn't ever express the appreciation that the way you left this family and the way you raised us three boys. So I know I couldn't get up in front of the crowd, be in that spotlight to say something. So this is the next best way I thought I could say something and hopefully honor you and just tell you a few words of appreciation and gratitude. And I'd like to read this short poem. In memory of my dad in heaven. If I could write a story, it would be the greatest ever told, of a kind and loving father who had a heart of gold. I could write 1,000,000 pages, but the one thing I would say, just how much I love and miss him every single day. I know he always loved me. I may be hurt, but I won't be sad. I know he'll send down the answers because he'll always be my dad.
My family and I want to thank you again for the overwhelming outpouring of love that you have showed Eddie the last month and you showed us this past week. Eddie loved me. He loved his family. He loved his friends. He loved his community. He loved his church. And on Monday evening, he finished his race well, and a loving and heavenly Father welcomed his good and faithful servant home.
Don't you worry, us three boys, we can take it from here, Dad. We got big shoes to fill, but you brought us up and you trained us and you taught us, and I think we're going to carry your legacy on. We're going to try to make that difference in the world that you've made in your life, your short life you got to live. You definitely left this place better than the way you found it, and I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I love you.